Hey everybody, what's going on? Just wanted to introduce a new machine. The old man decided he loves his Hondas and wanted to get out of the Pioneer. Pioneer did great at Pickett, but obviously there were some spots that he couldn't go. And he loves the dual clutch transmission. He didn't want to deal with the CVT. He's got a whole bunch of parts to put on for him, but wanted to do a brief look at it, the way that he brought it home from the dealer. Here's the machine. It's a 2023 Talon 1000R. It's the Fox Live valve. Completely bone stock. He doesn't have anything on it yet. Dad buys a new machine, delivers it to the house with a truck full of boxes that we've got to go through and open up. We got Badlands 5,500 pound winch. We got mirrors. We got a rear view mirror. Rough country doors. What is this one? Not sure. Pretty sure that's the brace kit for the front end. I think that's the winch mount. He's got the rear cargo holder in the back, and then hard coated vented windshield. Up next, we got the rough country lower doors. You see them there. Comes with a hardware kit, the door seal, and then metal doors. So what we've got to do is pull these 4 Phillips. Looks like there might be 5 Phillips that pull the outer skin off the door. There'll be some dimples that you got to drill out. I'll show that up next once I get the outer skins pulled. Alright, so there's the outer door skin pulled. There's 2 dimples here. I don't know if you can see those. 1 dimple there. 2 dimples there. So we'll drill out those with 1/4 inch drill bit, and then the door sits right in place and bolts in. Quick note, don't do what I did. Wasn't thinking. Putting on the doors. Put the bolts from the inside, the Allen head, the black Allen head, from the inside to the outside. So when you tighten it down, you put the door handle back on, or door panel back on, it covers the nuts. For whatever reason, I wasn't thinking. Used car doors, so you know, you have an interior door panel, not exterior. So just quick note, save you some time. It wasn't the end of the world. You just have to tear it all back apart and switch the bolts around. Not a big deal, but might save you some time. Alright, now we're getting ready to install the frame stiffener and from Super ATV, and the winch mount from Super ATV, and then a Badlands Apex winch. That's the frame stiffener there. There's the old winch mount, and then there's the winch. So to get to that, we've got to pull the front bumper out, so I have to disconnect this lower fairing, unbolt the front bumper on both sides, pull it out of the way. There's some drilling and stuff you got to do here for the fair lead mount, and then the winch plate sits back here. So the frame stiffener will go in here. Obviously got to change the front A-arm bolts. It ties in there, and then some plates and brackets tie in. I'll show some more once I get it on there before I tighten everything up. But we're getting ready to start on that. Alright, so they want you to mark a 1/2 inch off the back side of this here. So you mark off 1/2 inch there, use straight edge, come up, and then you'll set your bracket on there, line it up over the line, and then make punch mark for your drill bit. And then you'll drill out through the top of the tube, through the bottom of the tube. This piece will sandwich with a bolt. You tighten these, put a bolt through, and a nut. That's just for your fair lead holder. So thought the camera was recording, but it didn't record. So I drilled these out, and that's what through bolts to it. There it is for the fair lead mount. We'll tighten these up after we get the bumper back in. I used a 5/16 drill bit, I believe. It does not tell you drill bit size in the instructions, but it was a 5/16. The bolts fit tight, but slide right through. So the actual winch mounting plate comes up inside here. It sits on the outside of the factory frame. That's obviously going to be a pain in the butt for whatever reason. Fits in there just like that. Goes up there. And then these brackets hook around the back side of the frame tubes. Those are going to be fun. I'm going to send you with new hardware to put through the factory holes. This front bolt on the factory with the factory bolt came out like crap too. Just a little bit of tiny bit of misalignment, I think, in the factory setup. That one through, that one through. Alright, we're going to try to get this winch in the hole. We'll see how this goes. Alright, let's try this again. let's see if I can manage to show you guys this. So, you remove the factory control arm bolt, which comes in from the back. So you pull the nut and then feed the new bolt through with this bracket. With that bracket right there, and then you put the nut on, and then we'll pull the rear control arm bolt. We'll pull it out of there, and then this new bolt will go through, sit like that, and then it bolts, which carriage bolts through those rectangle holes, through the slotted holes on these brackets. And then in the back there's two more brackets. So there's these two brackets here. I'm gonna grab the wrong one, but yeah. So this one goes on the passenger side, but it'll sit on the back side of the lower control arm bolt, and it'll sit like that and bolt together. And that ties this whole plate and all four control arm bolts together. So that it appears that Honda did us a pretty good solid here. I gotta check it out to make sure, but so underneath it looks like they pre-wired it for a winch. I don't know if you can see that, but there's the white plug with the blue tape around it right there. The green and the white, that's supposedly ignition switched power. And then there's the negative and positive right there that leads up and over, and it's zip tied on the side of the steering column, and that sticking up I think is the negative, and I think the positive is wrapped right up there in that blue tape. I'm getting ready to pull that out. I'm gonna test it with a meter and see if that's the case, but if it is, it's pretty sweet. But we'll get it pulled out of there and see. Just got a little bit more done on the Talon last night with the winch wiring. Show you. Let me get to it where we can see it. So this negative and positive right here comes from the battery. The positive's up in the battery box, not hooked. So we'll be able to tie that in to our 12 volt. But there's that little bracket right up there that had two holes in it, perfect to mount that solenoid. So I was able to mount it in there, tie all the wiring to it, and there was a plug right there. It had a cap on the end of it, a little blue plug. The white with black tracer is 12 volt key on power. We have our winch cables ran up through here, zip tied in, down and along the frame, radiator hose down and tied into our winch right there. The winch is in, getting ready to put everything back together. I'll show exactly how I ran everything. Now I gotta finish cutting zip ties. So I showed you earlier how I ran the winch main power lines up, zip tied them all in. This right here is the connector for the toggle switch, and it splits off to the plug-in for the wired remote. So I ran everything down along this frame tube, right with the positive and negative that Honda put in for us, and brought it all up in, tied it into key on power right here, and then solenoid is up in there. Everything's tied in right there. I'll show you real quick the battery compartment if you're ever looking for it. It's hard to see, but this positive comes in from up front up there, and it's from the factory. It's tucked in behind these gray fuses, and it's zip tied up there at the top, and the end's taped off. You just cut that zip tie, you can pull it out, tie it into your positive. Your negative's already tied in, so you're good there. Yeah, you just tie it in and dress it up. Stick the cover back on, put the solenoid back where it needs to go, and you're golden. I'll show you where I put the plug in for the wired remote. Put it up inside the glove box right there. You can see where it's screwed in. It's mounted right there. Easy access. Remote's in there. And it comes up from in there, comes up and ties in. That's it. I'm getting ready to put her back together.